Have you ever answered a simple question and later realized it was a trap? Not a shout, not an insult, just a soft tone, a tilted head, a harmless question that somehow left you doubting yourself instead of them. Liars don't always attack with lies. They attack with questions. Questions that make you feel too sensitive, disloyal, guilty, or exhausted, until you start fighting your own mind and defending the very person who is hurting you. In this video, you're going to discover 5 innocent-sounding questions manipulators use to control you, and how to answer each one with calm, stoic clarity, so they lose their power the moment they speak. Stay with me until the end, because the last question is the one almost everyone falls for, and once you see it clearly, you'll never be controlled by it again. To see how old this game really is, we need to go back, way back. 2,000 years ago, this game was already being played. Not on social media, not over text messages, but in marble halls, crowded marketplaces, and behind closed doors in Rome. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius lived in a world of betrayal, political schemes, and whispered manipulation. Allies smiled in public and plotted in private. Loyalty could be bought, truth could be buried. And yet, in the middle of that chaos, they discovered something timeless. You cannot control the tongue of the liar, but you can control the mind that hears him. Seneca warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The manipulator knows this and bends your imagination against you. Epictetus taught that a man who thinks he already knows cannot learn. The manipulator uses this to shut down your questions just when the truth is closest. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the best answer to anger is a clear, grounded silence, the kind that refuses to dance to someone else's tune. In this video, we're not just exposing lies, we're using Stoic philosophy as a shield, so that every question, every doubt, every trap they set breaks against your clarity instead of your peace. So let's start with the first trap, the one almost everyone has heard at least once. Why are you being so sensitive? It always sounds light, almost playful. A small laugh, a raised eyebrow, a gentle tone that makes it seem like you're the one overreacting. But this is not an innocent question. It is a quiet attack, because hidden inside that line is a message. Your perception is the problem, not my behavior. Maybe you've felt it. You point out a joke that goes too far and hear, "Relax, you're too sensitive." You question a small lie and get, "Wow, calm down. It's not that serious." Suddenly, you're no longer talking about what happened. You're defending your right to feel anything at all. That's the trap. A manipulator doesn't always need to shout or deny. Sometimes, they just need to make you doubt your own radar. But sensitivity is not a flaw. Sensitivity is early detection. It's the ability to notice the shift in tone, the inconsistency in words, the discomfort in your own body before the damage grows. Seneca said we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The manipulator twists this. They plant one thought. Maybe I am overreacting, and let you do the rest of the work against yourself. A Stoic does not argue desperately with this question. He does not apologize for his awareness. He answers with calm precision. I'm not being sensitive. I'm being observant. Does that make you uncomfortable? In that moment, the game changes. Because now, the real issue is no longer you. It's what they were hoping you wouldn't see. And once they've made you doubt your own radar, they move to the next trap. You trust me, right? On the surface, it sounds gentle, almost loving. It's the kind of question people ask with a soft voice, a small smile, and eyes that pretend to be hurt by your doubt. But this is not a request. It's pressure. Because anyone who truly deserves your trust doesn't need to demand it. They prove it, quietly, consistently. Think of it this way. A reliable friend doesn't have to say, "You can count on me." You already know. A partner who is honest doesn't have to beg, "Please trust me." Their daily actions are the evidence. But when someone leans in and says, "You trust me, right?" what they are really saying is this: stop thinking, stop questioning, hand me your judgment. You've seen it before. A business partner who avoids numbers but smiles, "Just trust me." A lover who hides their phone, then whispers, "Don't you trust me?" This isn't about intimacy. It's about control. Epictetus warned that a man who believes he already knows cannot learn. Manipulators use this against you. If they can make you believe you already trust them, you'll stop asking the questions that lead to the truth. A Stoic doesn't rush to reassure or apologize for being careful. He stays calm and grounded and replies, "Trust is earned through consistency. Are you asking me to ignore my judgment?" In a single sentence, the frame flips, because now the issue isn't your caution, it's their insistence on bypassing it. But when pressure doesn't work, they switch to something sharper, more defensive. Are you accusing me of something? It sounds like a simple question, but it's one of the sharpest tools in a manipulator's hands. The moment they say it, the entire scene shifts. A second ago, you were calmly asking for clarity. Now suddenly, you are the one on trial. You point out an inconsistency. "Hey, this doesn't really add up." Instead of an answer, you get sharpness. "So, you're accusing me now?" Most people panic at this point. They rush to defend themselves. No, I didn't mean it like that." They soften their words, backtrack, apologize. And just like that, the search for truth is over. The manipulator has succeeded, not by proving innocence, but by making you feel guilty for simply noticing. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best answer to anger is silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of control. A Stoic does not chase, does not explain frantically, does not fill the space with nervous words. He holds the pause. He lets the tension exist without collapsing under it. Then, with steady eyes and a calm tone, he replies, "Should I be?" 3 words that return the weight to its rightful place. Because if someone is truly honest, that question won't scare them. But if they are hiding something, that calm response exposes it, not with shouting, but with pure, unshakable composure. If they still feel the truth closing in, they reach for something more dramatic, almost theatrical. "Would I ever lie to you?" This one arrives wrapped in softness. The tone is wounded. The eyes look offended, as if your doubt were the real betrayal. On the surface, it sounds like a plea for reassurance. But underneath, it's pure theater. Because if you look closely, this question isn't really about truth. It's about guilt. A person of integrity doesn't need to ask, "Would I ever lie to you?" They simply live in such a way that the thought almost never crosses your mind. Their actions, day after day, speak for them. No performance, no script, no drama. But the manipulator lives off performance. Imagine a colleague who keeps dodging responsibility, yet sighs deeply. "Come on, would I really lie to you?" Or a partner who hides messages, then stares at you with hurt eyes. "Would I ever lie to you?" The more they lean on this line, the more you should pay attention. Because what they want is not your understanding. They want your silence. Seneca said, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it." Honest people are not afraid of being examined. Liars, on the other hand, try to make the examination feel cruel. A Stoic doesn't rush to comfort or apologize for doubting. He pauses, lets the performance hang in the air, and then says calmly, "That's not the question. The question is, would I know if you did?" In that moment, the spotlight shifts. You're no longer defending your doubt. They are suddenly standing face to face with it. And when guilt and performance fail, they play their final card, the one that sounds most reasonable of all. Can't we just move on? At first, it sounds mature, peaceful, like the voice of someone who just wants harmony and healing. But in the mouth of a manipulator, this sentence is not about resolution, it's about escape. Because when someone says, "Can't we just move on?" in the middle of unanswered questions, what they're really saying is this: "I don't want accountability. I just want you to be too tired to keep asking." You've seen this play out. A company caught in wrongdoing says, "Let's not dwell on the past. Let's focus on the future." A partner exposed in betrayal sighs, "Why keep talking about this? Can't we just move on?" It sounds like progress, but it's actually suppression. They're not asking for healing. They're asking for silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice he never added, "unless it's uncomfortable." For a Stoic, truth has no deadline. Justice has no expiry date. A Stoic doesn't scream, doesn't cling to the argument, and doesn't let himself be guilted into dropping it. He stands firm, breathes, and answers. "I'll move on when I understand what happened, not before." That one line changes everything. It tells the other person this: your peace is built on clarity, not exhaustion, on honesty, not on pretending. Liars rely on your fatigue. When you refuse to be worn down, when you calmly insist on understanding, their last escape route closes, and the truth has nowhere left to hide. When you see all these moves together, something becomes very clear about how manipulation really works. Liars don't need perfect arguments. They don't even need the truth. What they need is your reaction. If they can make you feel guilty for asking questions, ashamed for being too sensitive, or so exhausted that you'd rather surrender than seek clarity, they win without ever proving anything. That is the true battlefield of manipulation. Not facts, not logic, emotion. Epictetus taught that some things are in our control and some things are not. A manipulator wants you to forget this. They want you tangled in their feelings, their stories, their anger, until you abandon your own judgment. Stoicism puts the ground back under your feet. It reminds you of three simple truths. Their reactions are not your responsibility. Your awareness is not a crime. Your need for clarity is not cruelty. Imagine a storm raging around you. Accusations, guilt, twisting words, raised voices. Most people are swept away, but the Stoic stands at the center. Breathing slowly, seeing clearly, answering with calm precision instead of panic. He knows that silence can be strength, that observation is powerful, that detachment is not coldness, but freedom. You don't have to shout, you don't have to convince, you simply have to refuse to betray your own mind. Because in a world built on shadows and emotional games, the one who sees clearly is always dangerous. Not because he is cruel, but because he cannot be controlled. And if you've recognized even a piece of yourself in this, that clarity has already begun. If any part of this message felt uncomfortably familiar, that's not an accident. It means your mind has already begun to wake up from the scripts that once controlled you. You are not cruel for having standards. You are not harsh for seeking the truth. You are not weak for noticing deception. You are simply choosing to live with your eyes open in a world that prefers you asleep. If you want to keep sharpening that clarity, that calm, that inner shield the Stoics spoke about, stay close. Tap like. So, this lesson reaches someone who needs it. Subscribe to Stoic Ether for more Stoic wisdom and Stoic lessons on manipulation, respect, and emotional control in everyday life. And in the comments, write just 3 words. I choose clarity. Let that be your quiet declaration. To yourself, and to anyone who ever tried to turn your doubt into their weapon. Clarity is the calm weapon they can never take from you.